Alright, okay, I must be talking. So, a friend of mine yesterday said to me that she hadn't watched my video about my mum's death because she was afraid to. She just didn't want to confront death at all. And obviously, look, yes, you're allowed to face life the way you want to face life. There is no right or wrong way to do it. However, being that death is an inevitable part of life, it is the inevitable consequence of life. It is something that you will encounter at various points in your life as people do die. It's best that you confront it. It's why I made that video in the first place, so that people could get comfortable thinking about it, talking about it, understanding what it is and how it works. And the other side to that, of course, is so that you can be prepared for your own death, for the death of your loved ones. Because actually, if you're prepared for it, it makes things easier. So there's I think the film I'm thinking of is The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage, where they have a living funeral. And because they know that his dad's going to die, and so they have a funeral for him before he dies. And they get all the friends and family. So all of that well-wishing that I'm so happy to see pour out for my mum, he got to see in this film. And presumably this happens in real life as well, I don't know. But this is the thing, because grief is not for the dead, grief is for the living, you know? And, you know, if you want to pay respect to the dead, wouldn't it be better to pay your respect to the dying? But you can only do that if you're prepared for it. If both you as the family and friend around them, and them as the person dying, comes to terms with it and says, right, we're going to prepare for this. And you might say, oh, what if they don't die? Well, brilliant. Everyone's very happy that they don't die. And then you sort of remember when they were so close to death that we actually had a funeral for them, you know. It's that kind of thing. But even if you don't go for something like that, being able to prepare, being able to tell everybody, okay, this is what's going to happen on that. So, we managed to eke some of that information out of the vagaries of it. But I can assure you it would have been much easier if she'd have come to terms with it before she even had cancer. It's just been like, you know what, I might die, I have disposable income, apart from just getting my life insurance, I'm also going to prepare a funeral, just in case. You know, so put away there. Nobody has to worry about the finances for anything. Nobody has to worry about any of the arrangements. We know how it's going to work. Brilliant. Update it later if you change your mind about anything. But either way, get it out of the way. And then it's one less thing that everybody has to worry about afterwards. It's important to think about all those little things, like, you know, does somebody know all your passwords? You know, luckily my mum was terrible with passwords, so everybody knew all her passwords. So that's not a problem. And actually half their accounts and everything, they were just in my name anyway. So, you know, that side of it, for this situation, it's pretty simple. We know exactly what we're doing. But just keeping everything together so that you know what's coming, so that everyone knows what to do. I mean, we had this whole thing with when the carers and the nurses came in to tidy her up after, because after she died, the carers from the hospice and the nurses turned up, and honestly, they knew the drill. So we got out, they went in, they cleaned up, they did everything they needed to do. They sort of closed up the mouth, all that kind of thing. Left her in a respectable state so that she could lie there overnight while people came to visit and everything, and then so the funeral home can pick her up the next day. And when they were doing that, I said to them, what should we be doing about organ donation? Because I think my mum wanted to be an organ donor, but I'm not entirely sure. So I'm saying this is one of these things. Tell people, let people know, make it very obvious to people what you want to do. And they said, for our situation, they said, no, that because of the kind of condition that she was in, the only thing that we could donate is potentially the corneas. And you'd have to make a decision about that early and that kind of thing. And being that, we weren't too sure, we just didn't make that decision. So, those corneas never got donated. And, I feel kind of bad about that now. But equally, it's not a vital organ. Obviously, it's a great organ for somebody to be able to get. If it saves or improves their sight, then fantastic. But at the end of the day, it's not going to actually save anybody's life directly. So we're not too choked up about it. But equally, in other circumstances, if you've got a family and they're like, oh, do we donate the kidneys? Do we donate the liver? Do we donate all those things that could save somebody's life? What would they have wanted? We don't know. And not only that, but making sure that the whole family's come to terms with it. And it's like, no, this is what she wanted, this is what we all wanted. Because at the end of the day, it's not the dead person that's doing the donation, it is the family. Because that body is now the property, if you will, of the family. They are the people, they are the executors. They are the people that could make the decisions about what happens to it. And so if they're not on board, it doesn't happen. And this is the thing is, obviously, I'm fine doing the money around, getting the estate sorted out, doing all the registration, sorting out all the funeral arrangements, that kind of thing. But, these things can be taken care of beforehand. It doesn't need to be, an extra burden on the grieving, on the bereft. And I say, this isn't something that I'm complaining about. It's something, once again, that complaining about from a societal point of view, where we need to, the other side of it is people need to be more willing to accept their own deaths, regardless of whether they are imminent or expected. Because your death is expected, just when it isn't. There are various funeral plans that you can get hold of. Just watch yourself more for an afternoon, and you'll see loads of them advertised. So just if you have the wealth, I've had life insurance set up. So if you are of an opinion that you should be setting life insurance up, then you should be of an opinion that you should be setting up funeral arrangements, and you should be able to set up everything for that. My mum died intestate, luckily. The rules for intestacy work very well for what she probably would have wanted, which is for it all to go to my dad, and then for him to decide what to do with it with regards to his kids. But either way, if you do think there's something that you want to do, that there'll be a charity that you want to benefit or anything like that, make sure you get a will done, make sure you get all these things done. Hiding from death isn't going to stop it happening. It's just going to make it worse when it does happen. And it's not going to make it worse for you as the person who dies. It's going to make it worse for everybody else as the people who then have to figure out what the correct way to honour your memory is and what to do with all of your stuff. Stuff being not just your physical belongings, but also everything else to do with yourself and your identity and that kind of thing. So I'm not entirely sure what I mean by that, but I feel like it's still correct. So yeah, obviously deal with things in the way you have to deal with things, but be aware that if you actually confront things as opposed to hiding them away, and really this isn't just death, this is everything. You confront things instead of hiding them away, you'll find that they are far less scary and far more manageable than if you just ignore them entirely. Okay. Now, I have to get dressed and go drive to the airport, because that's what I do. I'm an airport driving man. And then buy a suit, because no matter where, I don't wear black. But we're probably going to be making an exception to that soon, aren't we?